Hi there, this is Erica Merrill. I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video, and I'm very excited to welcome back to the show attorney Robert Geller. He is a bankruptcy attorney, owns a firm down in Tampa, Florida, and he has got some really great information for us today on why it is a good idea to file for bankruptcy now. We're going to go over all of the pertinent information to what's happening and how things are running. And I want to welcome you today, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing great. So we're going to be talking about all the reasons why it might be a good idea to file for bankruptcy now, if in fact that is something that you need. And first, I'd just love to cover, there's a lot of places that have been shut down for the past couple of months. And I just wanted to ask you, is your office open? And if so, how are you guys working?
Yeah, so we closed our physical office, and my staff has been working remotely since basically the middle of March. I made the decision um, relatively quickly that I didn't want to have my um, staff potentially exposed to the COVID virus. And I didn't want to potentially expose my clients to the virus, and felt the most important thing for me and for my staff is to make sure we try and keep everybody healthy. We meet with, on a monthly basis, I calculated about 300 people. So the odds were uh, very high that my staff or my clients would contract the disease, and I didn't want that to happen to anyone. It's really important that we remain healthy, because if we're not healthy, we can't help people. So since the middle of March, everybody's been working from home. Very happy to say that everybody's been healthy. I don't know that anybody's contracted the disease. I do know, unfortunately, a couple of my clients have, but I have heard that they have made a good recovery. So I'm very happy to say that. But yeah, we're all working remotely. I've been able to keep all my staff very busy. I'm very happy to say that I haven't had to let anybody go. In fact, we've added some people because the remote process takes a little bit longer. So I've realized that we need to provide more staff to be able to give my clients the best service possible. I'm also realizing that, unfortunately, there's a lot of Americans that, I think it's now 1 in 4 working Americans are unemployed. So unfortunately, there will be more people that will need our services. And I want to make sure that, we can provide the customer service that everybody is entitled to and deserves. That's really important to me. So if we have more demand of our attention, we will probably need more staff. So yeah, we're keeping pretty darn busy. I've been working Monday through Sunday pretty much for the last, 2.5 months. It's not fun. So it's not that much fun. I would like to be with my staff. I have great staff, and I think we have a really terrific team. We had a big firm party to celebrate a book that I authored, and had all my clients there, and it was just, we just have a terrific team, and it's not easy to be isolated at home. I think that this may continue for a while, at least this decision to keep everybody away from the office. And truthfully, we have a very nice office. And so I like meeting with my clients. I like giving my clients cookies when they're coming in the office, but so we're not able to do that. But again, the most important thing is to maintain our health and make sure that we can try and protect our clients as well.
Well, I think that's a smart idea. And I can absolutely vouch for the beauty of your office, the warmth of your staff, and the deliciousness of your cookies. Because I've been to your office a few times, and you're always very, very. You treat your the people that are your clients and your staff like family, and I've said that about you and your law firm for a long time, so I can vouch for it. Um, so as far as the current situation goes, I mean, the title of this is, why file for bankruptcy now? Well, I mean, honestly, because we've all been home, it's been so quiet. Nobody's going out. I swear that I fill my gas tank once a month now. It used to be once a week. So people are kind of used to it being quiet. The creditors aren't calling, but things are going to start opening up. I know that down in Florida, they're uh, already doing phase one, moving to phase two. I mean, you'll know more information on what phase is going to happen when, but things are opening up. Will the creditors start calling again, and when will that be, if that is true?
Yeah, so I see the lawsuits that get filed in the counties that we um, serve in our representation. We serve Hillsborough County, we serve Pasco County, serve Polk County, um, we serve Sarasota County, Manatee County, um, Pinellas County, all the areas within the what they call the Tampa division of the Middle District of Florida, which is about a little over 100-mile radius of downtown Tampa. Goes all the way out pretty much all the way out to Lake Wales in Polk County, and all the way north up into Hernando County. We serve that as well, and all the way south to Sebring. So I see the lawsuits that are filed. First of all, there have not been any foreclosures filed. I think that's been by order of the court, and I think, truthfully, I think the mortgage companies are having a little bit of sympathy and empathy for people who are suffering some really difficult financial times. So there really aren't any foreclosures that are being filed. The creditors are still filing some lawsuits, although the numbers are not there. But that's not going to last forever. Just like just like the bars are now open and the restaurants are now open. The creditor lawyers are they're going to need they're going to need the work. The creditor lawyers are a lot of them are on contingency, so they're going to be firing things up, unfortunately, again, because they need the money, and they don't get paid sometimes unless they get the money from my clients. The mortgage companies can't let people go on forever without not receiving mortgage payments, and eventually the state order, and the Supreme Court order is going to cease. I think it's going to cease by the beginning of June. So foreclosures are going to start picking up again, and unfortunately, because people are not working, a lot of people are missing their mortgage payments, so we're going to see more mortgage foreclosures. And of course, that is something that we can help people with. But that's kind of what I see. And unemployment, at least what they're saying on the news, is unemployment is extremely high right now, and it's probably going to remain high for a long time. So we're going to unfortunately for our clients, we're going to probably be busier and busier, and that's what's going to happen. I will say that the bankruptcy court has been open, has never closed. Everything is filed electronically. So we've been filing bankruptcies since I well, I've been filing bankruptcies. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I've been filing bankruptcies for 30 years, but so we haven't really stopped, and the court hasn't stopped taking bankruptcy cases. And of course, there's a reason for that. People need the protection, the relief from their creditors. And, that's an essential, the bankruptcy court's an essential business, I guess. And lawyers are considered an essential. So that hasn't stopped.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think that lawyers are essential. There's still things that happen that you need lawyers to protect you from certain situations. And so I think it's great that everyone has been able to, especially the attorneys, have been able to, set up their remote situations fairly quickly. Nobody saw this coming. So it's pretty impressive that you guys have been able to really turn over such a big staff into a remote workforce and work so seamlessly. And like you said, you haven't stopped filing bankruptcies. It's really your work has been uninterrupted by the pandemic. So I think that's fantastic. And just so that people know, when you do use an attorney to file for bankruptcy, what happens to your creditors?
Okay, so once you hire us, as soon as you hire us, you can tell your creditors that you have an attorney and that we represent you about the debt. And, and most people have consumer debt, which is like credit card debt or car loans or mortgages. Um, the law is, and it's under the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and Florida has a statute called the Florida Consumer Collections Practices Act. The law is that creditors cannot call you once you tell them you have an attorney. They can't call you, they can't write you. As soon as you tell them that you have an attorney and you give them our name and our phone number, they have to stop calling you. And we sue creditors who don't like to follow the law. We sue creditors all the time for that, but they're not allowed to call you. So immediately upon hiring our law firm, you're protected from the harassment. You're protected from your phone blowing up. They can ultimately sue you, but they can't call you. Now, once we file your bankruptcy case, of course, or we file a bankruptcy case, then um, they can't even sue you anymore. We stop the lawsuits in its tracks. Um, so that's what hiring a law firm would do immediately for you. Is, you can tell them that. Now, I will say that sometimes the creditors will even tell my clients, which is not truthful, that they can continue to call you until they have a bankruptcy case number. That's not true. And I tell my clients, if they tell you that, that's great. Write it down that they told you that, and that potentially is a basis to sue them as well, because that's just not accurate information, and that's against the FDCPA, or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Yeah. So yeah, you get protection from your creditors.
So, one of the biggest concerns people have when they are considering filing for bankruptcy is that they are worried that it's going to ruin their credit forever.
So, a couple of things are going on right now. If a client's coming to me, a couple of things are going on with different clients. First, they may be paying their credit. They may be paying all their credit card bills. They may be current on their mortgage, but something has happened drastically in their life financially, like the virus. And somebody may have been laid off, or their work have been cut, or they may have had their pay reduced. I have clients who've had their pay cut in half. So now they can't pay their bills, they can't pay their mortgage, they can't pay everything. So they got to do something, even though they have good credit, right? So, filing a bankruptcy may be potentially a good option. Or they just have a lot of debt out there already, and they have bad credit, and they haven't paid their creditors in a period of time because of some very good reason, like a health issue. They may even have judgments against them. And by filing a bankruptcy, it might be the best path to rebuilding your credit very quickly. Our law firm offers a program to our clients that helps them get back to a 720 credit score in 12 to 24 months. And what do I mean? Why do I say 720? I say 720 because that's pretty much the credit score you need to have to get a good conventional mortgage or to get a good car loan. It's good credit that everybody strives for so that they can do the things that's important to their life. And we include that program, the 720 program, in our representation. Otherwise, if you didn't have our law firm represent you, it would cost you $1,000 just for that program alone. And it's taught by a nationally recognized former banker. The other thing I can say is that we've been offering this program for the last 7 years, and my clients have had tremendous success rebuilding their credit. Every year, we reach out to our clients around Christmas and ask them to write a little story about how we've been able to help them. And, clients are extremely appreciative of the things that we've been able to do. And they tell us how their credit score has improved dramatically right after they file a bankruptcy and once they get their discharge. So bankruptcy may be a very good thing for somebody to rebuild their credit.
That's really great information to have. One of the other questions is, really income and how it affects your ability to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah. So, right now, maybe, if you have been financially affected by this COVID virus, right now may be a very good time to consider filing bankruptcy because your income determines your eligibility to be able to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. There are what's called the means test, which is a calculation that I have to run for you as your attorney to determine whether you're eligible. And, roughly for an individual in Florida, it's roughly $50,000 or less. You can file a Chapter 7. And there's a lot more to it than that, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, 60,000 for a couple, and it goes up from there. But if you have been affected and your income has gone down, you may now be eligible to file a Chapter 7. And if you wait too long and you wait till you go back to work, you may still be burdened with all those bills and those creditors and trying to dig yourself out and not be eligible to file Chapter 7. So it may be an opportunity for you to get rid of that debt now rather than waiting. And, you don't want to be, shooting yourself in the foot by waiting too long. And worse than that, and I see this with my clients, and when they come in my office, I see people deplete their retirement accounts to try and bail themselves out of their debt, and that's potentially the worst thing to do. So if you're clearly if your income has been affected, now may be a great time to consider filing bankruptcy. At least consider it. Get a free consultation. Let somebody give you that information that you need so that you can make a good decision, and then you can decide. It may be a good time now to file or consider filing bankruptcy because you can also do it right now from the comfort of your own couch. As we say, we're working remotely. Clients are hiring us by phone and video. We're walking them through the process by phone. We're getting the things that we need from them, and we're preparing the documents. We provide to them online, or we send it to them, through the computer. They sign the documents. We file them electronically, and the clients don't even have to go to court anymore. They don't have to go drive downtown. They don't have to find parking. If they're lucky enough to even find a parking spot, they don't have to figure out the parking meters because they're a little funky. If you haven't used it before, the new parking meter system, you can't just put a quarter in the meter. You have to use a credit card if you don't have the app on your phone. So it's a little hard. Um, then they have to go through security, and that's not a lot of fun for some people because they got to take their belt off. You have to take your shoes off. You got to take your watch off. You got to take your cell phone out of your pocket. And then there's some things you can't even bring in. So you got to go get through security. Then you got to get dressed again after you get done through security. And you sit in a large room with other people. You don't have to do all that. You could do it from the comfort of your own home. All you have to do is dial a phone number, and we're there with you, just like we would be sitting next to you in the courtroom. We're there with you on the phone to protect you from your trustee and from the creditors. So we're there every step of the way, and it's just a little bit easier right now. So it kind of makes sense to maybe if you are considering filing bankruptcy, or if you're having a difficult financial time, why it might be a good idea to do this now rather than wait.
I love that. That you've really described what a pain it is, and what a long process that you have to go through to actually go to court and file for bankruptcy and have the judge hear your case. So, it is a good time. And I hadn't even thought of the fact that income being down a little bit right now would affect you in a positive way with being able to actually file for bankruptcy. So, I mean, that's really great. Um,
I mean, so if you're over by $200 or $300 from the income level, you can't file Chapter 7. And worst thing you want to do is you suffered for 3 or 4 months of not working or either having no income or you're getting your pay cut, and you suffered, and finally you're back to work, and hopefully for you, you're making what you were making in the past, but you still got to deal with all those bills, and then you come to consult with an attorney, and it's happened to me. It happens all the time. I say to my clients, I wish you would have come to me a little sooner, and I would have been able to file Chapter 7 for you. And not saying that Chapter 13 is necessarily a bad thing, but it is a longer process. It does take you longer to rebuild your credit. So don't wait. I had a really nice lady. She was a teacher, and she had a property that she was having some other lawyer defend a foreclosure action for a couple of years. He was defending the foreclosure action. She didn't really want the property anyway. She finally gave up on the property, and she was worried that she was going to have to pay back the mortgage company, and this lawyer was continuing to defend this foreclosure. And by the time she came in my office, she was now making too much money. And it wasn't even that much more money. It was just a little bit more that prevented her from being able to file a Chapter 7 and just wiping out that debt. Had she come to me, 2 or 3 years earlier, she would have, first of all, she wouldn't have had to pay that lawyer all that money to defend that foreclosure, because the bankruptcy would have wiped out the debt. And second of all, we would have filed Chapter 7, and she would have already had good credit, because it was like 2 years. She would have good credit by then. So, waiting is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of reasons people wait, and typically it's misinformation about what bankruptcy is and what it can do for you. And so, and I know that we're gonna talk a lot of, and we have spoken a lot about that topic. We'll retouch on it again in the future in one of these interviews, but it really is. It's got a stigma to it, and it shouldn't, because it does give people a fresh start. Now, one of the other things that I'd love you to tell us about, and you've given us a lot of reasons to file now, but I'd love to hear your opinion about what's going to happen in the future with the courts. Will filings be up? Will there be a huge wait to get your case heard?
Well, unfortunately, at least everything that I've read and watched on the news, and I read a lot about the economy, they were predicting that bankruptcy filings were going to be increasing pretty much beginning next year, anyways, before we even had the COVID virus. Now, we have, like I said, we have unemployment. I think I heard on the news today that 1 in 4 Americans who are working or are working Americans are now unemployed. I think there's 40 million. Uh, I think it's 40 million unemployed people. I think our country is about 350 million in our country. So that's 10% of the entire country is not working, and the entire country, of course, includes people who don't work, like kids and people who are retired or seniors. So that's a lot of people. So unfortunately, yeah, there's going to be a huge demand for assistance. People are going to have very difficult times, and filings are going to increase very substantially. That really is a shame. I hope that I hope for everybody's sake that we can, go back to normal and go back to restaurants and be able to, and go back to Disney World and go, be safe. But right now, I'm really concerned that a lot of businesses aren't going to survive, especially restaurants, because I know that, they run on a very tight margin, and if they can't be at capacity, that's going to continue the unemployment rate, and so the filings would be greater. Um, what does that mean to somebody who's considering filing bankruptcy? Well, it's going to be potentially a little tougher to find attorneys, because they're going to be so busy they may not even be able to take on your case because they already have too many cases. There may be some, well, I guess I would say some novices that want to try and get into the bankruptcy field, novice attorneys who don't really know what they're doing. And filing bankruptcy is really, really a pretty complicated thing. There's 3 lawyers that work for me in my firm, one that's been with me for 20 years. I'd say that he's, probably one of the best bankruptcy lawyers around for consumer bankruptcies. I have 2 younger lawyers who have been with me for a little over a year now, and they're learning with our supervision, but there's a lot to it, and we have to train them. So, it's a good idea if you're considering it to get in now. I would say that, it's probably going to affect the cost of filing bankruptcy if lawyers are so busy. So, might be a good idea to consider filing now. Getting hearings might be a lot more difficult if the filings are up, because there's only so many bankruptcy judges and they can only hear so many things at one time. And that may potentially slow things down a little bit unless they hire more bankruptcy judges. They're not going to close the courthouse, and maybe they will hire more judges. But I would probably say that bankruptcy filings will probably, in my opinion, double in the next year or two, maybe even more than that, based on what's going on. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, I wish, I don't care, if my caseload went down, I would be happier at this point. I'd rather be able to have it, to have more of a normal existence. And seeing people having these very difficult times every day, every day I'm dealing with my clients that have lost their jobs and can't make their mortgage payments, and it really does break my heart. People, because people have families and children, and I lived that way. That happened to me once. My parents lost their business, and it wasn't a fun time when I was, a kid. It was even less fun for my siblings. So hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe everybody will get back to work and filings they'll be down, but I just don't necessarily see that from everything I've read.
Well, yeah, and nobody thinks that you or anyone wants to see this terrible situation ruin lives. And the good thing is that we have you, and you're able to help people, get through this, get a fresh start. The economy will open up again. It might take a little while, but in the meantime, you're able to really clear up some of the debt. And, people don't think about it, but the stress, the toll that it takes on your health and your relationships with your family members and with anyone else you come in contact with, sleepless nights, gosh, trying to function on no sleep for a long period of time. I mean, all of that is very, very bad for you, and your body reacts to it. So, why not, find out if it's the right thing for you right now by picking up the phone. Hold on a second. I don't want barking in the background of this. Okay. So why not pick up the phone and find out, call Robert's office, find out if bankruptcy is the right thing for you. And it might not be, and they definitely will tell you. Nope, they don't want to tell you to file bankruptcy just for the sake of filing. You really look at the pros and cons and what your options are, and taking a good hard look at, are you really going to be able to pay off the debt that you have with the interest rates that you have? Is it really feasible? Because if you're just kind of lying to yourself, the problem's just going to get worse over time. So I know that they're very realistic with you, and that it's going to be, a great call to make. And Robert, you did mention earlier in the interview that you have a, a book out, and we're going to do an interview on your book specifically, but I don't know if you want to just mention really quickly.
Yeah, actually, I have it right here. It's I don't know if you all can see that, but it's called Bankruptcy: Your Bridge to a Brighter Future. What you need to know to give you a financial freedom, and anybody who wants, I'd be glad to provide them with a copy of the book. And right now, we're sending it to everybody by PDF. So all you have to do is reach out to our office, and we'll be glad to send you a PDF version, and we'll be glad to send you an actual hardcover version if you like it as well. It's a great book. It covers pretty much everything you'll want to know about filing either a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And there's a number of different chapters in there, and I don't want to go through them all, but just ask for the book, and I will be glad to provide it to anybody who requests it. Yeah, so.
Well, that's great. And I'm sure that people will give a call and get that book. It's a fantastic, fantastic opportunity for them to get an overview of what's going on. So, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, Robert. It was a very thorough interview on what's happening now, and I know people are very interested to hear from you, the expert in this area. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to interviewing you in the future, and it's just always a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Erica. I look forward to doing these interviews. It's fun.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for watching. We will talk to you soon.